Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us tonight for our Lexicon series. Tonight we have a very special presentation of Norwegian. We have Lise Falskow, who is the President and CEO of the Alaska World Affairs Council and the Honorary Consul of Norway in Anchorage, Alaska. So thank you so much, Lise, for joining us tonight. My name is Evan Verplu. I am the Program Coordinator at the International Relations Council in Kansas City, Missouri. If you're not familiar with the IRC, we are a nonpartisan, apolitical organization that provides a greater understanding of international topics and how they intersect with the Kansas City community. For the most enjoyable experience, I think, for everyone, we'd certainly love for you to have your cameras on and to be visible and have this be a very interactive, engaging program. But if you're not speaking, if you're not asking a question to Lisa, we'll just ask you that you keep yourselves muted just to avoid any audio interference throughout the program. We will be recording this event tonight and broadcasting it live to Facebook just for your awareness. And we will also be making this program available on our YouTube page in the days following the program. So please, if you don't get every ounce of Norwegian information tonight, you need to revisit, please do so. And hopefully this inspires you to go and learn more about the language and culture beyond the program. If you'd like to connect with us further at the IRC, you can at irckc.org. We have a lot of upcoming programs after the new year, although I'm sad to say, or happy to say, whatever it may be, this is our last program of 2020. So our next program will be the 6th of January. So we hope you'll join us for that. So without further ado, thank you so much, Lisa, for being here, and welcome everyone.
Thank you, Evan, and thank you, Matthew, for inviting me here today. I have fond memories of visiting your council and your city. Matthew hosted all of the CEOs from around the United States to come and see your city and talk about best practices, and you guys truly have a phenomenal leader. So we learned a lot from him, and you guys are really lucky to have him. And thank you for asking me to do this. This has been so much fun to think about. And when Matthew asked me to do this, of course I said yes. And I said, well, can I do it in December? Because December is magical for Norway. And so learning about a language and a little bit about the culture and just the whole magic of Christmas seemed to me like such a great thing. And he said yes and obliged me. So here we are. And my background is not a picture. This is actually my home, Anchorage, Alaska. It's going to be dark very soon outside, but because it's, what is it, 4 o'clock here in the evening. This is almost the shortest time of year for Anchorage, which is about the same latitude as Oslo, Norway. And we get dark at this time of year, but it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful and magical. So let me see, I'm going to pull up here a PowerPoint just to give you some visuals. Can everyone see that? Yep. Do you see just the PowerPoint, or do you see also my screen? Okay, good. That's the thumbs up. So if you have any questions, just let me know. I'm also going to give you at the end some links for more information. So you don't have to worry about scribbling down a bunch of notes. It's going to be a lot of information in a short amount of time. I think it's going to be fun, but I'll give you a go-to place on where to learn more Norwegian after this. So here I am with one of my sons, and we're going to be talking about Norway. And I titled this, Ja, vi elsker dette landet. And does anybody know what that means? So that is the national anthem of Norway. Their national anthem is, yes, we love this country. Ja, vi elsker dette landet. And you see that in the Norwegian flag. It's very representative of their nationalistic pride. And a flag in Norwegian is flagg. It's almost the same. You'll see a lot of words are almost the same in Norwegian, flagg, flag. And here we are at the Iditarod, which is a big mushing race in Alaska. And here's a Norwegian musher that's come over from Norway to participate in it. And what does he have in the back of his sled? He has a huge Norwegian flag. Not only that, but you see people lined on the streets like myself with a flag. And that's what Norwegians do. They're very much nationalistic. They love their flag. They love their country. And so we wave our flags for everything. And even in Anchorage, Alaska, with the mushers and the Iditarod, we do that. Norway is part of Scandinavia, and some people get confused as what does that mean? There's Scandinavia and there's the Nordics. So those of you who love maps, I'm one of those map peoples. Scandinavia is Norway, Sweden, Denmark, but the Nordics, which gets confused, that includes Finland and Iceland. And so here's the Nordics with Norway there being on this side. A couple little bit of snapshots in here. To the far left is my oldest son, and he was born in Oslo, Norway. He has now returned to study in Norway. He's met a Norwegian girlfriend, so hopefully I get him back sometime. And in the middle is with some of my colleagues at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. You can see the name on the top of the screen there. It says the Kongelige Utenriksdepartement. And that means the Royal Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Norwegians like to smash a whole bunch of words together. So that last word, Utenriksdepartement, means Ministry of Foreign Affairs, just all smashed into one word. And at the bottom, we have where my youngest son is currently going to school. It's called a Folkehøyskole. We don't have anything like that in the United States, but it's something for people between the age of 18 and 25 to study something of their passion for a year. And it's sponsored by the Norwegian government. If you know anybody who wants a free, amazing experience, all you pay for is room and board. They have these 80 of them all across the country. And he is majoring in extreme sports. So, and that's his school. It looks like Hogwarts. He loves it. And if you go to Norway, Christmas time is about family and food. And so here's a fish market. On the bottom, you have different types of salmon, smoked salmon and a cured salmon. And the top, you have whale. Whale is allowed in Norway, and you can buy it in the stores and restaurants. And here the market guy said, you want a sample? To which my son, you can see, says, yeah. And we got this little sampler platter to see if we wanted to buy any. There's also other foods that are really special in any country you go to. And these are just some that some Americans find a little bit different. We have bacon cheese, ham cheese, and shrimp cheese. So the word for cheese here is ost. And then the top says what kind of ost, what kind of cheese it is. And this one is bacon, same word, bacon ost. And we have ham cheese. This is squeezable ham cheese, skinkeost. And then here we have shrimp cheese, rekeost. It's actually kind of good. You put it on bread and it's kind of salty. Norway and Norwegians, there's about 5.5 million people in Norway. There's just as many Norwegians in the United States as there are in Norway. So there's a whole bunch of traditions that we have here in the United States because people here too love this country. Ja, vi elsker dette landet. The bottom, there's a Tesla. If you go back now to Norway, it's really changed since oil was developed. And there are more Teslas sold per capita in Norway than anywhere in the world. And that's because of their taxation issues with climate change. We can get to that later if you'd like to. Fascinating. It's really cool. I also would be remiss before I get into Christmas to not mention the Arctic, because that's what's very important for Norway and also Alaska, as you can see behind me here. For Norway, 10% of the population lives in the Arctic, above the Arctic Circle. 80% of their waterways are above the Arctic Circle, and 30% of their landmass is above the Arctic Circle. It's vibrant, it's happening. You can see that there's water. This is the winter time. The water is not frozen in Norway because of the Gulf Stream. So way up there, it's clear. Unlike Alaska, we still have a lot of frozen ice here. Norway, they say, the government says that is the place of opportunity. The economic development and the growth in Norway happens up north, above the Arctic Circle in this area. And I often, as I'm sitting here in Alaska, think, wow, what if the United States said Alaska, which makes the United States an Arctic country, is the growth and opportunity of the world? Maybe all of you guys from Kansas City would come to Alaska, which would be awesome. But it is vibrant. It's a great place to be. So here's some basic words we'll just kind of talk about. So when you're traveling in Norway, everybody speaks English. So they have to start learning English at the age of 7, and the country is really good about integrating English into their language, because they recognize that if Norwegians want to do business or travel anywhere, English is the way for them to do it. There isn't anywhere outside of Norway where they're speaking Norwegian. So therefore, they learn it from age 7. Their music is in English. Their TVs are in English. They'll have subtitles in Norwegian underneath. They don't dub it like the Germans because they want people to hear it. And they're phenomenal. You really don't have to know any Norwegian to get by, but they think it's really cool if you do. So if you throw in some words, you're just talking English and then throw in a Norwegian words, they'll just be so excited. They do that as well. They think American words are cool. So they'll be speaking Norwegian and they'll throw in American words in their sayings. Like they'll say, this is dad. They might say, dad, fantastic, or dad, completely wonderful, or something like that. They just mix in American words because it's cool. So these are kind of some, basic travel words that I can think of. Like yes is ja, and no is nei. Thank you is tuck. And if you want to be kind of cute, you can say tuck tuck. Or they have 1,000 thanks, tusen takk, or heartfelt thanks, hjertelig takk. There's a lot of ways to say thank you in Norwegian. It's a good lesson for your kids. Always say thank you. Please is a little bit longer of a word, vær så snill, and they use that a lot too. Vær så snill, please get me something, vær så snill. And then if you bump into somebody, which might happen, right? Because we all bump into people, you could say unnskyld meg, or just unnskyld, excuse me. And then hello, they kind of sing it if you're in Oslo, which is where I lived. And they're like, hello, hi, hi. So I guess that's some time to talk about the dialects. If Norwegian came from Germany, and as Europeans in the central part of Europe were traveling north and traveling east, the language developed such. So traveling to the east, you have English. Traveling to the north, you have more of this Germanic northern form. It's still all based off of German. The language then became more defined when Denmark was occupying Norway. And so Norwegians and Danes and Swedes can all understand each other because of the way the Norwegian language was developed off of German into Danish into Norwegian. So Norwegian and Danish is written almost the same, but it's pronounced differently. And Norwegian and Swedish is written differently, but is pronounced almost the same. Sounds strange, but it somehow works. So if you can speak Norwegian, you can talk to someone who's Swedish or someone who's Danish. The dialect and the words are just a little bit different. And same within Norway, there's so many dialects that are still going on that you can still be speaking the same language, but if you're from a different part of Norway, it sounds different. There's also two official languages in Norway, one being Norwegian and the other one being Sami. But Norwegian is in also two forms because you have the bokmål form, which is the book type of Norwegian. And then which is based off the Danish. And then there's something called nynorsk, which Norwegians went back and said, well, what is Norwegian language really before the Danes got to us? And so they took the dialects of all over Norway and they smashed it together, and then it formed this nynorsk. So all Norwegians have to learn bokmål and nynorsk. And then depending on where you are, you speak one or the other primarily. And then Sami is the indigenous peoples of the north, and that's a different language, more based on the east. What's interesting to me is while Norwegians smash in a whole bunch of American words into their language, we take some Norwegian words here that I don't know if you might know or not. Brisling, which is fishermen up in here in Alaska know that word. You might not, but The word fjord, that's Norwegian. Klister, if you like to cross-country ski and put that sticky stuff on your skis to get up the hills when it's icy, that's klister. That's a Norwegian word. Lemming, you know, those rodents that go off the cliff and they all follow each other, you're a lemming. Lefse, which is a potato-like tortilla that we're eating at Christmas time and other times. Lutefisk, which is a Christmas wonder, I guess you could say. I think it's a Christmas disgustingness. It used to be made with lye. That's how you preserved it, was you cured it in lye. That's toxic. You die from that. So then you would have to rinse it with water to get all the lye out. And then, of course, after all that rinsing, it would just fall apart and be mushy. Now they don't use lye anymore, but they still try to replicate cod into a lutefisk, and you bake it. It's much better. Quisling, which is a traitor. We call people Quislings here. During World War II, a famous Norwegian general switched sides to the Norwegians, or to the Germans, and he was a traitor. We call traitors Quislings. The word ski, the word slalom, the word telemark, you know, that kind of skiing down, that was from Norway. Ufta, if you have any Norwegian ancestors, I see some of your last names, and some of you look like you might have some Norwegian ancestries with your last names going on here. Ufta is something that they say in Norway. More Americans say it really than Norwegians. And you just say it for everything. You stub your toe or something doesn't go your way, and you know, I go ufta, right? Shoot, or something like that. And then if you're a sailor, you might know Yngling. The word that I have seen talked about a whole lot here is hygge. And hygge is hard to translate, right? And so it's actually a Danish word, but Norwegians use it as well. And it's a feeling, which is why it's hard to translate. How do you translate words that are feelings? I mean, the closest thing I can think of is coziness, but if you ask a Norwegian to translate hygge, then they would give you all sorts of definitions. It's like, well, if you're by a fire on a cold day with a warm beverage and your blanket and your family, that's hygge. But fun fact, Oxford Dictionary added it is now an English word, hygge, which nobody can say. There's all sorts of different translations of how to say, or pronunciations of hygge. And it also made the short list for word of the year, new word of the year for the US. Here's a couple. I just Googled it to see how people were trying to translate it in English. And you can see even the translations are different. One is huga, and then there's huga, and yeah. And then there's different things, but you can kind of see the feeling, the sentiment of it. One person here even said, you can't translate it, you just feel it. Well, for me, my favorite Norwegian word is koselig. And if you look at the happiness report, Norway gets up there, as do other Scandinavian countries, Sweden, Denmark, right? And if you wanted to say, why is Norway the happiest place in the world? They would, I mean, the way you could sum it up, I would sum it up, was because it's koselig. And to me, that's where coziness meets happiness. It's that cozy by the fire, like I said, with your mug and your family, but you're really happy. But it's bigger than that. So here are some pictures I put on for koselig. And in Norwegian, if you say that is, you say det var. So if I was saying that's koselig, I would say det var koselig, det var koselig. So if you're skiing, the first picture, if you're skiing and the sun is shining and the weather is crisp and you're getting your blood pressure up and you're with your friends, det var koselig. Or if somebody has baked you some cinnamon rolls and you have your coffee, det var koselig. Or if you have a cabin and it's like up in the mountain on the trees and it's hanging up there, det var koselig. Or if you have the northern lights going and they're glowing, the whole sky is going, det var koselig. Or if you have the fire and some wine and your feet are up, det var koselig. Or somebody makes you a present and they really put a lot of time into it. And it's just so cute the way that they wrapped it. You say, oh, det var koselig. And then chess. If you're sitting there playing chess, det var koselig. Fun fact, the world chess champion right now comes from Norway. He's a young Norwegian guy, and he's the world chess champion. So here's just a little bit more about why Norwegians are happy. And it's, it's really cold in Norway. And they have a tradition of not being very economically advantaged. Of course, that's changing with oil and gas. And so they find happiness in family and their surroundings and nature. And there might be something to that. I've seen studies on some doctors are suggesting if you've got ailments, depression, or anxiety, you should go outside and walk in the woods. Maybe the Norwegians are onto something, and they find that very therapeutic. And here's Bergen, which is on the Hanseatic trading route. It's also part of Norway in a nutshell. If you were to go and do a tour of Norway, they market this Norway in a nutshell. You would go to Bergen and you would see these nice little cobbled stone roads with white buildings that are koselig, and some houses that are all painted in koselig colors. That's me with my son dropping him off for school. So now we're to Christmas time. So if you are at home, wherever you are, you're probably not going to Norway for Christmas. My kids are not coming home for Christmas because it's just too hard to travel and all the quarantining you have to do. So I wanted to put together how to celebrate Norway, how to celebrate Christmas like a Norwegian. So I've got about 8 things here to help you celebrate Norway like a Norwegian. And the first one is Advent. And Christmas in Norway is very much based on religion. So their songs are about the angels and the baby Jesus. You have a little bit about the Nissa and mice dancing and that sort of thing. But really, most of it is about Jesus's birth. That's kind of, Norwegian is about that. And so you will light a lysestake, which is the round ring that holds your 4 Advent lights. And you start that the first Sunday in December, and you light one every Sunday in Norway. And then you also make an adventskalender. Here you can see 2 words smashed in together and based, German Advent calendar. They say adventskalender. And that you could do in any way. You see the chocolate ones where you open, they'll make their own. It's just something, Norwegian kids think they're the most luckiest people ever because they get something every single day, even if it's a toothbrush or something like that. And then you want to decorate your house. And julepynt is Christmas decorations. And Norway uses a lot of hearts. And so here you see on a tree, the hearts. These are little containers that you can put things in. You'll also see Norwegian flags. Norwegian trees will have Norwegian flags on them. And to the right, you see a Norwegian tree. They're not like American trees. It's not blue and glittery and tinsel and bows and, Martha Stewart perfect. It's really your scrawny little tree that you get out from the woods and you put your Norwegian flags on it and you put some red hearts and maybe some red bulbs and some white lights. And you don't put it up until the 23rd of December. We'll get to that. But you decorate your house and the stores and downtown, everything with julepynt. You also need to bake cookies. So cookies and cakes are called kaker, which is a little bit confusing. Kaker means cake, but cookies are also considered kaker. And jul is Christmas. So you smash those 2 words together and you've got julekaker. And then if you're a good Norwegian, you have to do 7 different types of cookies. And the word 7 is syv, and the different varieties is sorted. So you need to do syv sorted of julekaker to be a good Norwegian. Nowadays, people are too busy. So they do like cookie exchanges, and you make one and your other buddy makes one and her buddy makes one and his buddy makes one. You all come together, you switch your cookies, and voila, you have 7 types of cookies, julesorted. But these are your typical Norwegian cookies. You also go to markets, and virtually we can look at markets and that sort of thing, I guess now. That starts at the beginning of December, and they're so cute. This is a European thing. You'll find it all over in Europe, these little Christmas markets. And Christmas shopping is julehandel, which once again, Christmas shopping smashed together in one word. I said or, which is eller, julestress, Christmas stress, right? People are busy, things are going on. So so are you shopping or are you stressed? I think it's fun. Christmas, if you're going to celebrate Christmas like a Norwegian, you are going to celebrate lille julaften, which means little Christmas Eve. Lille is little, and julaften is Christmas Eve. So little Christmas Eve is the 23rd. The 23rd is the day where, like I said, you put up your Christmas tree, you bake your gingerbread houses, and you just get ready for Christmas. So you clean and you start baking and cooking and that sort of thing. You're with your family. It's a day, it's a thing. And then Christmas Eve is the day that is typically, I guess, what you would think of as Christmas. So Christmas Eve, the 24th, is when the julenisse comes to your house. Now, this is like Santa Claus, but it's not Santa Claus. I put a little picture at the bottom, julenisse. Nisser are elves, and elves are all over. Elves are a very cool thing. Let me see if I can find my elf. I'll take you into my elf. So elves you'll see in people's homes, you'll see them in the store shops, and the Christmas elf, he lives in the barn, and he's kind of snarky. He's not super nice. See, here's my little Nissa. Let's see how close we can get so you can see him. He's a little bit scary, you know, and they'll hang them all over. You'll see them in every shop and people's windows. These Nissa, my Nissa are hanging from the lights in my house. And the kids have to be nice, kind of like here we say Santa, you have to be naughty or nice. You have to be nice in Norway because you don't want to take off the Nissa. And the way you appease the Nissa is you make rice porridge and you give it to him. It's very important to give him rice porridge. And then he actually comes on Christmas Eve to your house with gifts. So somebody is designated from your family or friends to walk up to your house, bang on the door, and bring gifts. And that's supposed to be the Nissa. I always thought it was amazing how Santa came to my house every year, how lucky I was. Of course, my dad was out holding the reindeer sleigh. Mix of two things. I didn't know any better. It was very cool. And then they dance around the Christmas trees, they sing songs and they dance. And like I said, Christmas is family and foods. And so you eat really fatty foods at Christmas time that are just kind of yummy. One is ribbe, it depends where you are in Norway, which is a pork rib, or pinnekjøtt, which is lamb ribs, or we talked about lutefisk. Once again, depending on where you come from. My parents both immigrated to the United States, and lutefisk is what they had in their part of their country. So that's what I grew up with. Wish they had come from somewhere that had the ribs, but no. And then you can have desserts like multebær or blåbær. Multebær is cloudberries, and we have them here in Alaska. They're very rare to find cloudberries, and so they save them. They're special, and you make them with cream. And this also shows some extra letters. In Norway, there's 3 extra letters. The AE, which is an A, like multebær or blåbær, and the O with the line through it, that's an Ö sound. So like smør, which is butter, and the A with a circle over it is like an O sound, O. So those are 3 extra words. So if you have a keyboard in Norwegian, you'll see those 3 letters, A, Ö, and O. There's also a way to write them in English without that. So they have workarounds if they're trying to send something to somebody and you don't have those. Christmas time is also a special, if you want to do it like a Norwegian, you will have special drinks. And Norwegians love to market Christmas on their products. It's really fun over there. I don't know why we haven't done that over here. Their Christmas, their milk cartons and their cheese packages and their coffee mugs from like Starbucks all have, Christmas decorations that say Merry Christmas on them. It's just very festive. And then there's some special things that are made every Christmas. One is julebrus, which is Christmas soda. That's the first one. My youngest son and his teacher went on a sugar fast, I guess, for a month. And their treat was going to be julebrus. If they made it for a month, they'd get that early. And if they didn't, they had to jump in a cold, freezing lake. So julebrus. The one in the middle there is glögg. It's like Glühwein in Germany. It's spiced wine. You can put whiskey. People have different recipes. Some people put raisins on the bottom, which is really, really good. Akevit, which is something special for Norway for Christmas. It's a very strong, I forget, 40% proof or something like that type of alcohol. You just have a very little drink. It tastes like kerosene. And then the linje means line. It actually is in its casket and it goes across the equator. And then the last one is juleøl, so Christmas beer. The different breweries make different Christmas beers. People look forward to that. And then here is our Nissa. So Nissa is kind of like a little elf, you could say. And historically, the one for Christmas comes from the barn, the fjøsnisse. You can see there's a picture of him at the bottom. This is like a typical nice depiction of the Christmas julenisse. You can see he's eating his porridge down there. And the history behind that is they believe that somebody had to watch over the animals when it was really cold in the wintertime. So the Nissa would watch over and make sure that they were healthy and they made it through the winter. So you had to be nice to the Nissa so your animals wouldn't die. And so that's part of that. And then I'm going to show this really short little cute video so you can see some of these words and traditions together. It's the middle part. It says, Fjøsnissen har besøk fra Irland. So that means fjøsnisse, which is the barn nisse, has a besøk, someone who's come to visit him, has a visitor from Ireland. Because Norwegians will tell you, at least my grandmother will tell you, that everybody in that region is Norwegian. Ireland, Scotland, England, they're all Norwegians because those Vikings went over everywhere. So everybody, of course, is Norwegian. There is definitely a close kinship between Ireland and Scotland and Norway. So this is a Christmas commercial from Athena, which is the company that makes all their milk and butter products. And they're talking about their Irish cousins coming to meet the Norwegian cousins, and they're eating brunost. So brunost, and I'll show you that in a little bit second here, is a brown cheese that I love. You either love it or you hate it. And it's actually made from whey. It's kind of like peanut butter and a cheese, if you can imagine. You don't really want to eat it by itself, but it's really good on bread. And so this is a funny Christmas commercial. They do a different one every year. They have one this year, but this one was my favorite. So let's see here. Okay, and you'll see the word hygge in here in this video. So, and here you see the carton. Here's a Christmas milk carton I was talking about. It says Merry Christmas, God jul on it. And they've got all sorts of little nisser and they're playing with snow and typical Norwegian. Okay, so here we go.
We're here in Norway for Christmas to visit my dear old cousin. Now you're going to taste something really good.
Lisa, I think you're still showing your PowerPoint, actually.
This is Again.
Mm-hmm. Lisa, I think we're still seeing your PowerPoint,
Cheese,
actually.
Whatever cheese, baby. It's the best cheese, you know.
What's that? Do you not see it?
Yeah, we're still seeing your PowerPoint, actually.
Ah, okay. Let me try that again. I will start over. I was enjoying it. Okay. So let's see here. Give me 1 second. I'll find it. There we go. Okay. Can you see it now?
No, still just your camera at this point.
Oh, well, shoot, maybe I won't be able to bring it up. Let's try one more thing. Okay, here we go. This should work. How about now?
There we go. Perfect.
Okay, here we go.
We're here in Norway for Christmas to visit my dear old cousin. Now you're gonna taste something really good. The famous Norwegian brown cheese. The famous brown cheese? Yes, yes. Hagen. Interesting. It's very interesting. It's very good. It's a bit weird for a cheese, maybe. It's a bit weird for a cheese, maybe. It's the best cheese in the whole world. Maybe we just need some time. Some more time. I give you time. I give you 5 seconds or you can go home. I love it. Love it. I knew. Everyone loves the brown cheese. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We're here in Norway for Christmas to visit my dear old cousin.
Okay. There we go. Is it still showing that or is it showing me?
Nope, just your camera now. You're good.
Okay, wonderful. That was just a typical Norwegian commercial. Let's see here. And I have brought you into my kitchen because I have some famous Norwegian brown cheese, which you can buy anywhere actually in the United States. It's amazing that this is everywhere. So I can get it at Safeway, I guess Kroger's. I'm not sure what you have there in Kansas City. This version of it. So it comes in 3 different versions. The ekte geitost is pure whey from goat cheese. It's like the real ekte is real. And this one is a blend of the goat cheese or the goat whey and cow's milk. And then you can get one that's even milder that's just cow's milk. So you take it and you open it up and you use what's called an osthoven, which means a cheese slicer. And you slice it real thin like this. And it's super tasty on heart waffles or by itself if you're hardcore like I am. So I have you now in my kitchen with my waffle maker. So waffle makers, you can actually get them on Amazon, which is really, really cool. Like I mentioned, things are all in hearts. Oops. So you can see the waffle maker is in hearts like this. And I'll give you the recipe in just a second. You can also Google a recipe. This is my great-grandmother's waffle recipe. Now, good Norwegian recipes have a lot of butter and a lot of cream and sour cream and half and all the creams in it. This one does too, but I am gluten-free. So I have to my great-grandmother's dismay. I'm sure she's rolling over in her grave. I know my mother rolls over in her grave because I put gluten-free flour in this, but it works. So you just take it and you put it in your waffle iron. Can you see? Voila. So that is cooking. And it comes out in these pretty little heart-shaped patterns that you can have individually or all in a whole. Of course, on your Christmas platters, which show your different Nissa. Here is your classical barn Nissa with his pony. And then on top, depending on how you like it, there's a lot of different ways you can do it. The best way, of course, is with geitost or brunost, which means brown cheese. So you take it and you slice it and you stick it on your waffle. I feel like Rachel Ray. This is actually harder than it looks. Okay, And then you could eat it just like that if you want. Some people like to go all out and they'll put sour cream and some jam, or just some jam and whipped cream. I'm gonna put some jam. This is wild blueberry, so blåbær. Blåbær syltetøy. Syltetøy is jam. And this smells really, really good. If you see people in my household running down because they smell waffles, don't be surprised. A little bit of this, whipped cream on top. And there you go, waffles. So I will continue eating waffles while we go on, because this actually smells really, really, really good. Okay, let's see, next slide. Okay, another thing to celebrate in Norway, or celebrate Christmas like a Norwegian, is you are going to celebrate Romeo. And Romeo is the period between Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. And this is a serious thing. You get the time off from work and you spend it with family, and you can go skiing, whatever you like to do. You can sit and read books. Norwegians are big readers. They read a lot of books. And you just kind of enjoy life. It's a low stress, it's just a time to be happy and relax. Also, the kids go around and do something called julebuk. And julebuk is Christmas goat, which I'm not sure why they call Christmas caroling julebuk. This is actually a Christmas goat. It's a decoration that you'll see in Norway. But they do. And it's like caroling meet Halloween, where they dress up like Mary and Joseph or their favorite Christmas character. And they go from house to house and they get cookies and candy. So that's just one thing you do in Romeo. I like to ski, so you'd probably see me in the slopes doing that and eating these. Yum. Okay, so here is the recipe for Norwegian waffles. And you can see this one has the sour cream and the butter. I would add to it, and I did add to it, and my great grandmother adds to it half and half, and a little bit of buttermilk and a little bit of other creams. Whatever you have for creams, you add it. Ha. There's our waffle. Waffles. And like I promised, oh, look at that, we're right on time. If you want more information on Norwegian language lessons, the Sons of Norway which is the biggest Norwegian fraternal organization in the United States, has just added some online Norwegian language lessons, and they're all written, and they're all on their website, SOFN, which is sonsofnorway.org. And you can learn all sorts of words and numbers and history and that sort of thing. If you want to find out some facts about Norwegian government, what's going on in Norway, that government.no is a good place. If you like traveling and you're dreaming of travel like I am right now, then Visit Norway is the place. And our former Norwegian ambassador to the United States, we have a new one right now. He used to do a blog series for the Huffington Post. Very interesting, I think. And then if you want some great movies, since everybody's kind of hunkering down and you want to eat your waffles and watch a movie, there's some really fun Norwegian movies on Netflix, Occupy Lillehammer and Norseman, that I can highly recommend. So that is a little bit of an intro into Norwegian. If there's any questions and you have some time, I'd be happy to answer some questions since I'm eating waffles.
How often do you visit, Lise? Obviously, pandemic has challenged that, but pre-pandemic, how often would you be going to Norway?
I go at least once a year. So all of my family lives in Norway, including my kids now, except for me and my parents and my sister. My parents and my sister live here in Alaska, where my parents immigrated. Everybody else lives in Norway. And so to visit family, we have a farm in Norway, to go on the farm. And now to visit my kids, I go to Norway.
Does anyone else have any questions for Lise? Feel free to turn off or unmute yourself and ask, or if you'd prefer to type it in the chat, I'd be happy to read it out loud as well. Looks like we have a question. Had a visitor who found it Norway expensive to visit. Is that something that you would echo, perhaps?
It depends on the exchange rate. So actually right now, it's not that expensive. I mean, while gasoline is really expensive, things that have been historically expensive aren't that bad. So really, while the costs are high comparatively, the exchange rates also make a huge difference. When I was living there 20 years ago, it was about 6 kroner, which is their currency, 6 kroner to a dollar. It's gotten up to 10 last year. Now it's in the 9s. But that's a big difference, 6 to 1 to go to 10 to 1. It negates that. But yes, historically, it is considered high. Depends on the exchange rate.
Well, if that's it, I think, first of all, thank you so much, Lise, for taking some of your time, donating some of your evening to taking us through this. It was fantastic, and I'm certainly inspired. You know, I'm going to be spending a little time on this Visit Norway site for maybe a little post-pandemic trip I might have to make. So thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. It means a lot that you were willing to do this.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure. It's nice to meet everyone.
Great. I hope you enjoy your evenings, everyone. Please, if you would like to know anything more about the IRC, you can visit us at irckc.org. And also, what's the Alaska World Affairs Council website, Lise?
We smashed the whole thing together. So it's alaskaworldaffairs.org.
Perfect. All right, everyone. Well, enjoy the rest of your evening, and thank you again, Lise. And we hope to see you soon.
Yep. You too. Bare hyggelig.
Ja, ha det.
Ha det.